Hey, Justin.
Hey, hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, living the dream all day, every day.
Good. Good to see you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good to see you too. Good to see you too.
Yeah. Man, I want to thank you for being a part of my campaign, for helping me out so much.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
if you're out there watching, my name is Matt Ferry. I am candidate for State House in District 48 here in Tennessee, and we've got a great shot of winning. And I don't have a huge team, but the people that I do have helping me out are amazing people like Justin Miller, who ran for the seat in 2016, and you helped me out in 2018. You're helping me out this year, and I really appreciate your support. And so I wanted to invite you on and talk to you a little bit about the campaign and about how it's going, and just to see what's up. We got 2 weeks left, and we've got a huge opportunity, and I know we're pushing on certain things. But yeah, how you feeling about this year?
I'm feeling really good. I'm a bit of a political junkie, and have been fortunate enough since I did run in 2016 to work on some campaigns. Yours, I worked on Mariah Phillips's congressional campaign back in 18. I worked with a guy named AJ Holmes in Murray County
Love
back
it.
in 18, and have really gotten into have really been fortunate to get to work on with some great candidates and on some great campaigns. And one thing that I feel really confident about this year, I always come into any race with a little bit of a cloud of pessimism. I came in with a huge cloud of optimism when I ran, and did not work out. So
Yeah.
I'm always I'm always kind of the dark cloud in the room. But the numbers that I'm seeing, I think that we're seeing across the country, but we're certainly seeing here in Tennessee and here in Rutherford County are just unbelievably good.
Yes.
We have a huge opportunity to flip some seats here. I know you talked to Brandon yesterday. His seats up there, within reach, but I feel like 48 is too. I looked at the numbers. So just to anybody who's watching, I don't know if anyone's watching, but or if you will watch later, we're able to see the early vote numbers come in. We're able to see who voted. We can't see who votes or how they voted, but we can see who voted. What that's looking like here is we're seeing a huge turnout. Obviously, I mean, turnout already through yesterday is about voters in this district are roughly about, I would say, 40% of the total people who have voted or who voted in 2018. And 18 numbers and 16 numbers were actually pretty similar. So, which was unexpected. This year, I think what we're seeing is, at least in my opinion, I've looked at these numbers for three cycles now, and then I examined 14 pretty hard too when I ran in 16. We're seeing a younger group of voters come out. We're seeing women leading the charge. They've got about a 10-point bump on us guys, which is fantastic because no offense, Matt. I hope you get elected, but we need a lot more women voices in the state legislature, state Senate, Congress, Senate, presidency. So
Right.
to see them get involved is really exciting because they, if anybody has been, I'll say this: I don't want to get in trouble or get too political, but us guys have had a pretty fair shake and have had enough time with it. And I think the women need a voice, and especially in the state house. So to see women vote in the numbers that they are is really encouraging. I could just ramble on for an hour. I love talking data and numbers, so I'm gonna shut up for a sec.
Well, you make a good point, and I'll expand on that a little bit. The Democratic Party want to see some diverse representation in their elected leadership because there's not that. When 90% of your elected leaders are old, white, rich men, there's a problem with that. And I think that we have some exciting candidates this year running. One of them being Marquita Bradshaw. I actually, I meant to tell you this right before we started, but Marquita Bradshaw is having a fundraiser that starts right now.
Oh,
So, we'll wrap this up here in about 20 minutes or so people can stay tuned to that. It's a big fundraiser. All the musicians or, Tennessee based. Margot Price, I saw her on there. I forgot who else is. Third Man Records are doing it.
oh, fantastic.
And it shows you the kind of support that she has. I mean, people are excited about Marquita Bradshaw. This is the first time that there's been a black female on the ticket for Senate in Tennessee. That's a big deal. That's a
huge
big deal. And, like you said, like there's people who want to see diverse representation in their elected leadership. And
sorry.
No, and this is part of it. This is part of it. I think people are really excited. She's a great candidate. She's running a great race. She's been running across Tennessee. She's been to Rutherford County several times already. And so we're really excited about that race. We did see her on Al Sharp's show on MSNBC, and they were saying that the race is higher than we think. And I think that's true. I think there's going to be people who are going to come to the ballot box and they're going to vote a certain way. And I think that
okay, I'm done sneezing. Sorry about that. They always come in threes. I was really trying to hold that last one back. Good Lord. Okay.
Well, going back for a second, I want to say something else too. I was talking to somebody about this, but since I've been involved in local politics since 2014. That was the year that I really got involved and really saw what was happening. And the guy who ran in 48 was Bill Campbell. Mm-hmm. And, we're lucky that Bill Campbell ran because not all those state house seats had candidates that year for Democrats.
He was the only one in Rutherford County that year.
Mike Williams in Smyrna.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, but that was it. It. We didn't have anybody for Senate. We didn't have anybody for the other two state house seats. And those were missed opportunities for us then. But, I saw what was happening. There was lots of involved people, but they had gone through a lot of changes. And of course, there was changes happening in the country. One thing that our data people saw when they did the numbers, when I was, chairman of the Rutherford County, Carson very well. Of course, you're a very good numbers person yourself, but Carson's very sharp. And Carson Turner did some numbers for us, and he found 30,000 Democratic voters in Rutherford County that just stopped voting. They didn't, switch parties. They didn't die. They didn't move. And I think slowly they've been coming back. And I think this year they're going to come back in a big way. But, like I said, I've seen a big difference between 14 and 16 and 18 and 20. And it's really encouraging to see. People are fired up and people want change. And it's about time because, going back to the state house, state Senate, there's been a Republican supermajority there for 10 years. And what have they accomplished exactly? Brian Terry, he has won 3 terms. He's been in there for 6 years. What exactly has he accomplished while he's in office? I know, the latest thing is him and Charlie Baum have announced plans for some kind of First Responders Act. It's nothing. It's the same thing that they always do, right? It's I call for this, well, you called for it, but you don't actually make a law saying that, right? He did the same thing with medical marijuana for years, where he was introducing bill after bill after bill. That was nothing. That just called for more research, even though there's been decades of research already on this subject. So, the point is that our legislators are ineffective. They're not doing anything up there that we need them to do. And especially right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. What have they done for us? They met 3 times this year, and they didn't pass any kind of COVID relief to help the people. They didn't try to even improve our unemployment system. They didn't even try to create some sort of comprehensive testing and tracing program to help fight the virus. And now, as we know, a lot of them are checked out on that. But I think it's going to come back in a big way. But anyway, I know I'm kind of going across the board there. All right. Real quick. But, added to that, this pandemic is something to take seriously. It's not over. And, the governor's in quarantine right now. And I wish the governor well. I do. I really do. But I wish that the average Tennessean could have the same kind of health care that he has. Right, and I don't think that is a fantasy. I don't think that's too much to ask. But like I said, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Winter's about to hit. when the temperature goes down, people's immune systems aren't as strong. People are going to be stuck more inside. I think that's going to give more time for this virus to spread. And if the crap hits the fan, are our legislators going to rush back during the holidays to pass some sort of COVID relief bill? I'm going to say no. And so there's something wrong with all of this. And that's why we need a big change in the state house and the state senate.
Well, and the thing about it is we need more voices. I'm echoing like crazy. Is that better? Yeah, there we go. We need more voices. It's going to be hard to break the GOP supermajority. It's going to be
right,
but it's kind of a domino effect. So look at it like this. Let's say this year here in Rutherford County, we're able to flip 2 seats. Not going to speculate on what 2 I think it'll be, except that I think it could be this one. This could be one of them. I think you could flip all of them, maybe. Who knows? But let's say you flip 2, or worst case scenario, you flip 1. The other 3 state house members kind of get put on notice right there, or at least they should. They see that the demographics of their county are changing. That bleeds over into the state senate. So now you've got an even smaller supermajority in the state senate, but that's got 2 people to where you're at least pushing on them a little bit, and they're feeling that pressure. And that's the thing. I mean, there's not. I get. So I'm younger. I'm 34, but I see the next generation coming up, which makes me feel incredibly old to say. But the early 20s now, getting excited, getting fired up, and I think it's awesome. But if I could say anything to them, it's be patient. It's not always making progress happen. Does not happen quick. Sometimes defeating a bill isn't outright defeating it. It's getting killed in committee.
Right.
It's not as sexy. It's not as it's not as fun, but at least it happens. That's what we have to do. We have to build here. And there are so many districts just like yours. Mm-hmm. Just like here in 48, and I say yours, mine too. I would be a constituent of yours, and that would be lovely. But we've got 4 seats here that I think are right for the picking. Mm-hmm. There are some up around Clarksville. One that has flipped recently, or has gotten a new representative who's younger and a little more progressive in there now. Jason Hodges.
Yeah, love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, we've got that kind of energy. We've got opportunity in Hamilton County. Chattanooga is a I hate to say a liberal bastion, but it's like stepping into a different state when you go to Chattanooga. You've got a broadband throughout the city that's free to everybody. You've got a decent public transit system. You have environmentally conscious buildings. A lot of the hotels they're building now are built. I forget what the program is, LEED or something like that, but they're environmentally conscious. There's things happening, and that can mushroom, that can come out here.
Right.
And so that's where we have to focus. And that's why, no matter where you are in the state, you could be in the reddest of red counties. Mm-hmm. Get involved, do something, let your voice be heard, because I guarantee you there are folks out there. And if running for office didn't do anything else for me, it made me realize that I wasn't alone and feeling the way I felt about what was going on. And I'm sure you've experienced that yourself, running for office and being involved in politics for as long as you have. There are other folks out there who are just looking for somebody to step up that they can walk with. That's it. So you don't have to necessarily hold office to pull it off. I mean, it helps. I don't have to have a car to walk or to get to the store, but it's a lot faster. But a lot of times you just have to put the work in, and it's going to be slow. But what people forget is we had a Democratic state house just a little over a decade ago. Right. We can do it again in that same amount of time. So
right.
I don't really know where I was going with that. I just kind of got on a little bit of a tangent, but this election's important, and that's why. That when I look at these numbers, kind of going back to the numbers, one thing that I see here in Rutherford County, Voters under 30 make up about 15%, which is pretty good.
Okay.
It's not great. It's not where we want to be.
Mhm.
But on another race I'm working on, they make up 8%.
Wow.
Come on, like, get to the polls. It's the least you can do. It is the least you can do. You don't have to get involved. I'm not asking you to knock doors. I'm not asking you to make phone calls. I'm not asking you to do any of that. Take it. Set aside 2 hours. Yeah, set aside 2 hours.
Yeah. There's
And
so much you
just-
can do.
Right, just say, I'm going to go vote. And guess what? If you're done voting in 15 minutes,
Yeah.
you have an hour and 45 minutes to do whatever you want. But
Yeah.
set the time aside. It's so important. And it's so, I think that kind of going back, I'm going to loop this back around to what you were talking about. When we started to see politics around here change, I think a lot of people just became lethargic. And it's not necessarily an indication of who we had in office then. I'm not saying that, because we had some great, we had, Andy Womack in the state Senate.
Yeah.
Golly, I am just blanking right here.
John Hood.
John Bragg.
Yep.
As our state house, as our state representative. We had his son Tommy as our mayor. We had a lot of good people in office, but I think what was happening on a national scale, I think there was some blowback from Obama. I think that didn't help. But I think what happened on a national scale kind of started to suck the air out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
And, what we're dealing with now is trying to get that oxygen back in the room. And we're doing that as a party by putting candidates like you, candidates like Marquita Bradshaw, candidates like Chase Clemens, who to me doesn't get enough attention. He's a fantastic candidate.
Yes.
Chris Hale, Mariah, Brandon, Mary Vaughn, these are all people that have something to do right here, and they're all energetic and they're all magnetic and they're all wonderful.
Yes.
And so I think pumping that back in is, like I say, it's going to be a slow climb, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Well, I think that we've gotten somewhere already, thanks to the work that you've done as a candidate and as a political operative behind the scenes. But I see a lot of potential here in Rutherford County. I see a lot of potential in Tennessee. I think that it's not going to be long now before the national party starts taking Tennessee more seriously as a battleground state, because I really do think that we have a lot of potential here. Going back what you were saying about the supermajority, it's so important that we break their supermajority, because we can't even have a conversation about some of these things.
We can't get a quorum. I mean, we can't.
Yeah.
If they decide they want to shut us out, they totally can.
Right. And the way that the committees are structured, if there's not enough Democrats, they can just put one Democrat on each of these committees. And, Jeff Yarborough, he was saying, I can't even get a second, I need at least a second for our business to move forward. But they shut our business down all the time. And it's always about their agenda. They ram whatever they want through. And whatever they have trouble with, they go out and try to bribe the other legislators for, as we saw with that voucher bill that happened last year. That is absolutely shameful. I'm pretty certain the TBI is still investigating that, but we know that there was a Democratic state House member that was offered, he's in the National Guard, and I forgot what rank he is, but they said, how would you like to be general? How would you like a promotion in the National Guard? That is absolutely wrong to use a position that way for a voucher bill that is only going to help the rich, only going to help these rich parents out, subsidize their private education for their kids. That doesn't help public schools. That takes money away from public schools. And it literally helps nobody but people who can already afford to send their kids to these private schools.
Right, and that's the thing about the voucher bill, and that's what I don't think people understand. The Republicans have done such a good job of marketing that as school choice that folks think, oh, that would be great if that would give me the money to send my kid to and I don't have anything against private schools. My daughter goes to a private school.
Right.
I have no problem with it.
School choice. Yeah.
I don't expect you to pay for it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect the taxpayer to pay for it. And here's the thing. If you really want to get to school choice, maybe that's okay eventually, but let's fund the public schools now that are already drastically underfunded. I mean, we rank towards the bottom in the state of Tennessee in per pupil spending compared to the nation. I think I know we're in the bottom 10%, but we may be, we may be third from the bottom. I haven't looked at I hate to even say that, but I know I feel confident saying we're in the bottom 10%, and our educational outcomes show it, So we've got an opportunity to, and here's what, and I'm going to break off on another tangent. And I'm so sorry.
Do it. Go for it.
You've had enough beers with me that when I get going. I'm not drinking. I've got some water, but if I was 2 bourbons in, this would be a whole different conversation with a lot more obscenities. But what drives me crazy about school funding is all your opponent does is talk about. He loves to talk about the rainy day fund. He did a post on it yesterday. I'm a constituent. I follow him. He did a post on it yesterday. We didn't have to touch our rainy day fund throughout all this pandemic, and these other states did. Look at us. And I can't even take credit for it. Gail Jordan, the most dangerous woman in Tennessee, Gail Jordan. I hope she sees that, and I miss Gail so much.
She's great.
She said she made the comparison. Your bank account can look really good if you don't pay any of your bills.
Oh,
you can sit. And she's dead on. She's exactly right. Mm-hmm. We're not paying our bills here. We're not funding education. We're not taking care of the poor. We're not, our infrastructure in parts of the state is crumbling pretty badly. So we're not making the investments that we have the money to make to make. And we're surprised that our educational outcomes are poor. Our teachers are underpaid. We have I think we're barreling towards a teacher shortage in the next couple decades because honestly, who would want to? You have to have a special heart to want to be a teacher these days.
Right.
Like I went to, when I started college, my minor was secondary education. I wanted to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And I had to do, in my first semester, I had to do some kind of student teaching. And I made about 3 days in, I went, no, this ain't for me at all. And I was 19 at a high school. These people were close to my age. And I was like, this is a nightmare. Was I this bad? So I've got a huge heart for teachers.
Yeah. It's a tough job.
It's a terribly tough job. And we don't pay them. We don't pay them.
Right.
Our teachers are some of the worst paid in the nation. And we sit here and go, hey, by the way, we're only gonna let you have so much budget, and then the rest's got to come out of your pocket if you really want to do your thing. And it's just, our priorities in the state are so messed up, and it drives me crazy because I love this state more than I've been fortunate enough to travel all over the country, Europe, Canada, Mexico. There's no place I would rather be than right here.
Yeah,
I mean that than right here in Murfreesboro. I love it here, but we have our priorities so backwards, and we need more people like you. And that's, if anybody's watching and kind of wondering, okay, it's 14 days to the election, what can I do? There's a lot. Yeah. If anything good has come from the last 4 years, it's that people, I think folks who currently or previously felt like they didn't have any power are starting to feel empowered.
Yes.
So if you're one of those people that's going, you know what? I've already voted. I was there the first day, or I was there the second day. What can I do? Get involved in the campaign right now. If you've got a little extra money, donate it to somebody. I mean, it's amazing. And Matt, you can speak to this. It's amazing what an extra $500 or $600 will do for a campaign. I mean, I think people think that these, that when they think about, the only time you hear campaign funds be talked about, it's in like a congressional race or a presidential race, and you think it's in the millions. It doesn't take that kind of money to run a state house race. I mean, a lot of people will tell you it will. A lot of people will say you need to raise $150,000. It's not true. Yeah. It's not true. You've got to spend it smartly. You've got to be wise. But and you're gonna have to get creative. But races like this, a couple $100 make a world of difference. So it's. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because we are making a last minute fundraising pitch, And we got one mailer out, and we think that was very successful. We're trying to do a smaller mailer. We're trying to target some people who we think are going to be responsive to our message, who just don't come out and vote as often. We're trying to target some people around the landfill, about the landfill, because it's been stinking lately. And, my opponent takes money from the landfill operators, and he has not done anything over the past 6 years as far as enforcing just better standards and practices that need to happen there. What you were saying a second ago about education was really good, because you're absolutely right. We're not fully funding public education. The Republicans position themselves as being fiscally conservative, which sounds very nice, but really it's a lie. Really, what they do is they go down there and they cut any kind of community service. They cut education. We know that state colleges are more expensive than they were a couple decades ago, because legislators have played that game, right? If you can cut it 1 or 2% and doesn't die, then maybe you can cut it another 1 or 2% and try to save money. But meanwhile, they're giving tax incentives to Amazon. They're giving tax incentives to FedEx. They're giving tax incentives to businesses who say they're going to build some sort of factory and employ thousands of workers, and they don't. They pass laws that they knowingly contradict federal statutes, federal laws, and they know are going to be challenged in court. And who pays the lawyer bills on that? The taxpayer. You pay the bill on that. So this whole idea that they are fiscally conservative is an absolute lie. But let's talk about that $1 billion rainy day fund for a second. What exactly is that for? Who exactly is going to is going to be helped with that money? We're still not sure of that, but based on how they've handled this pandemic and how they've resisted the urge to take any money out of that, or how Governor Lee and the Republican legislation has been dead set on funding that illegal voucher bill, more so than making sure that struggling Tennesseans can deal in a time of a pandemic. It's absolutely reprehensible, and it's the reason why we need new leadership. But they're playing games. At the end of the day, they're playing games, and they'd like to play games with teachers and say, oh, we're going to give you this raise, and it's like a 1% raise, right? Like, they should give teachers a whole lot more. But earlier this year, they promised the teachers a 4% raise, I'm certain. And then, the pandemic hit, and that was an excuse for them to say, oh, we're taking that back. We're not actually doing that. Well, Gloria Johnson, she made a good comment about this. She said, well, that was supposed to be because we were going to lose a whole lot of revenue. Turns out we didn't lose a whole lot of revenue. We were actually up. So do teachers get that raise now? No, they're not rushing to go back and give teachers raises, even though they are rushing back to try to get teachers to rush back to work without the necessary resources or extra pay, or considering that, hey, they might get sick. And we know that a Walter Hill special educational teacher died recently because of COVID. So we're not protecting our teachers like we want them to. I'm sure that she had to make a hard decision to go back to work, because what do you do if you're in a situation where you have to work? Unemployment is only going to be so much. That federal unemployment was nice, but state unemployment is not so nice. So for a lot of people, they couldn't just take off work. And added on to that, essential workers, are they getting hazard pay? Are they getting paid sick leave? I would say a lot of them are not. And most of those people are, immigrants, people who are not treated well in our society in the first place. So I think that this pandemic, there's not a whole lot you can look at it and say, wow, that was really great. But I think that one good thing, if you can call it that you could see in this, is that it's very visible, the cracks in our system. It's very visible that, not only do we have two kinds of criminal justice systems in America, but we've got two kinds of economy. And the people who can afford to stay home, that's a great thing. There's nothing wrong with that, but there's so many people who can't afford to stay home. And what's going to happen to them and their families? if they get sick or if they die. So, these are important things to discuss, and our legislators have either been absent completely from this, or they have been so not helpful. They have downplayed it or called it a hoax. Or right now, there's no mask mandate, even though the White House coronavirus task force says Tennessee needs to implement a mask mandate. Hey, I just saw my stepbrother. He lives in Alabama. You know what he says? He says, I'm not very happy with the governor of Alabama, but one thing that she did do early on was implement this mask mandate, and he thinks it's thousands of lives because of that. So
Meemaw said wear a mask.
Yeah. Life and death decisions that our leaders are making, and they have failed. They have failed on so many occasions, but this pandemic is a good example of that. They have failed to protect the people. They've failed to protect Tennesseans in a time when they're really struggling. So,
the thing about when they pulled that race, just to go back to that, when they pulled that race out from under the teachers, here's what didn't make sense about the messaging there. We had, coming from most conservative voices of power, we had the message that this is not a big deal. It's a hoax. Everywhere from it's a Chinese virus. It's a hoax. It's a liberal ploy. It's all this stuff. To it's not a big deal. And that's your best case scenario.
Right.
What didn't make sense to me then is, okay, why call a special session? Make sure that, if somebody dies of this hoax, that business owners can't be sued if they force their employees to come back to work. And then if it's not going to be around that long, if it's going to disappear like a miracle, like somebody, I can't remember who said that.
Yeah, wonder who.
If it's going to disappear, then why in the world would you bank on losing that much revenue that you have to take your 4% raise that's long overdue and not enough away from teachers? So it's I don't know. To me, if this hasn't done anything else, this has shown that there's a lack of credibility with a lot of our leaders. And listen, I'm not somebody. I've said a lot about Republicans tonight, so this next sentence is going to sound like BS, but I don't have anything against all Republicans. It's not. Most of my family, a lot of my friends are Republicans, and they're great people.
Yeah.
The problem is they vote for the wrong kinds of people.
They've been sold a lot of crap.
They've been sold a bill of goods. And
yeah.
At the end of the day, what we see is that they're not really fiscally conservative. They just put money in the wrong places.
Right.
That they're not pro-life because they let people die all the time. They don't expand healthcare like they should, like they've had the opportunity to do since the end of 2014 when Governor Haslam introduced Insure Tennessee. And that they're not, that in a lot of cases, when you look at what the behavior that has come out of the majority, they're not good, decent people either in all cases. I mean, I don't want to name any names, but a former speaker was his name rhymes with Lynn Massada. Again, don't want to say any names, but the just buffoonery that came from him. And listen, I had a business relationship with Glenn Cassidy. I said his name. He's on the surface, he's a nice guy, but he let power get to his head, and then he surrounded himself with some of the dumbest people that he could have surrounded himself with that were just as power hungry. Didn't know how to wield it.
Right.
It says a lot about your decision making.
Yeah.
When you do that, when you have representatives peeing on other representatives' office chairs.
Right.
It kind of makes me go, are you really a good, come on. Like, I don't expect a lot. I don't expect anybody to be a saint. And God knows that I'm not the shining example of maturity. But at the end of the day, just go to work and do your job. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't care what you do on your own time, but when we see headlines coming out of Tennessee like what we've seen, or like what we saw with Jeremy Durham,
Mm-hmm.
you just have to sit here and go, what are we doing? We haven't made any progress.
Right.
Education's worse off than it was. We're sicker than we were. We're poorer than we were.
Mm-hmm.
It's something, and I get into data and I get into all that crap. And it's the thing I was trying to sell you on the other night with the United Way thing with Alice. I mean, half of the state is living paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
Half of it is either living paycheck to paycheck or below the poverty line.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Our job, your job as a legislator, is to get in there and take care of your constituents. How do you say, you know what? Yeah, 30% of it, like in Lake County, 30% or 30, I think it was 35%. Yeah, they live below the poverty line, but I'm still here for them. Or, yeah, our rural hospital closed, and if somebody has a heart attack, they're probably dead, but I'm doing my best for them. You can't. And I just want to see, I don't care whether it's Democrats or Republicans, I want to see people in office
Mm-hmm.
that really work hard to take care of their constituents. That's all I want.
Right.
I'm not in love with the political party, but right now, one of them is putting out options to take care of people, and the other's taking them away. So,
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I mean, they're definitely playing games, and this is a serious thing. They're making life and death decisions in the state house and the state senate. And, you know, that no offense to anybody in the fraternity, but it's like a frat house up there. Like, honestly, like.
That's an insult to frat houses.
What's that?
That's an insult to frat houses.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's really shady people who occupy these seats and have gotten away with terrible things. We know David Byrd is still a legislator. The TNGOP still defends that guy, even though he's an admitted child molester. And you know, you said Glenn Cassida, you said Jeremy Durham. I had a friend who worked as an aide in the state capitol around 2000, 2001. And she said on the second day, you know, they bring all the new people together and they say, okay, watch out for this person. Watch out for this other guy. Don't be on an elevator alone with this other guy. And one of the names they mentioned was Jeremy Durham. He wasn't a legislator at that time. He was just a legislative aide. But still, he had been around for that many years. They knew about his behavior. And when it all came out in that report, I'm sure it wasn't enough. There was 44 Jane Does on there. I'm sure there's dozens more. There is a big problem with that. Those people go to Nashville and they, like I said, they make life and death decisions. They're supposed to be our public servants. And instead, you know, they're ladder climbers, or they wield that power. I mean, Joey Hensley, he's just like Scott Desjardins. He had a rural medical practice, and he was having an affair with patients. He was writing them scripts for opioids. This guy is still in the state Senate. Okay. And Scott Desjardins is still my U.S. congressperson. So anyway, we could go on that all night, I know, but we should probably let it go at that. But I do want to show some comments. I did have some people vote for me today. Thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate it. Peggy Swan says, hey, good to see you. Voted for you. Thank you so much, Peggy. I appreciate it. And Peggy is one of my strongest supporters. She's been making a lot of calls for me. Thank you so much for all the hard work you do, Peggy. It means a lot to me. I've also got a strong supporter, Linda Sullivan. She's an amazing person. She's helped put that billboard up in Smyrna going towards Nashville that's got my name on it. Isn't that nice? And she even mentions that there's been 17,740 new voter registrations in Rutherford County since June 1st. That's a big, big deal. Peggy Swan also tells us a little story right here. She told a fellow Democrat to come to the RCDP office, and she came and she's talking about her work and what she's doing. This is the kind of stuff that we're talking about. You know, Peggy, you know, she's been babysitting the office sitting, and it's been a big, you know, there's tons of people who've been coming through lately. They want Biden-Harris signs. They want Matt Ferry signs. They want Chase Clemens signs. And so we're lucky that we have volunteers to staff all this, but it's encouraging to see all these Democrats come out. Like I said, we keep building. Every year has been different, and this is no better. This is no worse. And I'm really hoping that some of these new people that are getting involved this year, take those baby steps to become more and more involved. You never know. Somebody who's volunteering right now could be on the EC in April and then be chair sooner than they think. That happened to me. And then I became a candidate. Jennifer Vinoy, who ran a amazing campaign for District 34 last time in 2018. She says, I took my daughter to vote for you today. Go, Matt. Thank you so much, Jennifer Vinoy, and thank you for running back in 2018. You did such a great job. I'm so proud of you. Jason Bennett, this guy, he says that he has been essential and not stopped working, and he's got no hazard pay, nothing at all. So this is one of the many folks that's struggling. He also says that you're looking real smooth. So I want to add that in. And Rosa says, yes, thank you, Rosa. Love you so much. I appreciate your support. So anyway, I just wanted to show you some of those comments because they're important, and they're kind of what we were talking about earlier. Even if you feel like you can't do much, there is something you can do. You can make the baby steps to that. Maybe you can't be making phone calls or doing this or that right now, but we need people to sit out by some of the polling places with our signs, because in Murfreesboro City, they take them up if there's no one sitting by them. If you want to do that, shoot me a message, sign up on my website. I would love for you just to even do that kind of stuff. So there's plenty to do, but this election is so important, and we could win this, which is very exciting. But we're not just building for this campaign this year. We're building for everything. We're building for Rutherford County. We're building for Middle Tennessee. We're building for 22, 24, 26, and so on. All these state house seats and the U.S. congressional seat are up every 2 years. So they'll be up in 22, also in 22. Some of these county school board seats, we want to see new people on the county school board. And county commission, all the county commission seats are going to be up. That's very important. We need new voices on the county commission. They make very important decisions on the county commission, including the sheriff's department budget, the county school budget. But anyway, do you have anything else though to wrap it up? I just wanted to.
Yeah. So if you're watching at home, I'm also Matt's treasurer. So I get a nice look into the bank account. Number one, thank you.
Yes.
Matt's been able to raise enough money to do, like you said, send out a mailer, which when we started talking about it in June, I was like, I don't know if it'll ever happen. And we were able to send out a really effective mailer. I mean, one that just to kind of give you guys a look under the hood of I think it hit 10,000 houses. Almost 1,300 of them have already voted in the first 5 days of early voting. That's huge. Not counting today. I don't have today's data. So that's huge. That's presumably those are votes for us, or at least the majority of them are. We've been able to do a lot. So and I'll tell you, when I ran, I hated raising money. I hated asking people for money, but I really don't mind doing it for other candidates. So hear me out. It's going to take not a lot of money for us to push this thing over the edge. I'll just be honest with you, looking at the numbers I'm looking at, I have us within striking distance. We're a little behind, but we're within striking distance. We don't know what election day vote's going to look like. We don't know if it's going to, and that's the hardest thing to judge. Typically, it skews a little further to the right. We need to build up before that. We need to make sure these last couple of weeks of early voting, we can run some numbers up. This is going to be a close race. I still believe. I sent an email to if you get Matt's emails, you got one from me today. I still believe this is the sleeper race in Tennessee, and I've worked on some great races in the past couple of years with some amazing candidates. But I really think that this is kind of the one that has the potential to do it this year or certainly in 2022, but I think we can do it this year. So Listen, I'm gonna get my Southern Baptist raising on, ask you to dig deep in your pockets. Don't put yourself in financial trouble, but $20, you have no idea how much that can do. $20 on the budget that we're running on, $20 is 100 mailers. No kidding. I mean, it's amazing how we've been able to drive those down. That drive the cost of those down. Maybe not 100. That's a little. But 80. We've been able to drive those down pretty considerably. So think about what 100 can do. Think about what 200 can do. Think about what 1,000 can do. I want to see this race flip. I want to see it flip in 2016. That's why I ran. I was not the best candidate in the world. Learned a lot. There was a lot more to it than I thought. You can probably hear my son in the background. That's why I didn't run in 2018. Or if I would have run in 2018, I would have been a single candidate. At least that's what my wife said. But it's important. If you're sitting there going, man, I want to help, but I don't have any money, it's totally cool. Sign up, volunteer. We need people phone banking. We need people text banking. We're reaching people texting better than we've ever reached them calling.
Right.
And we're living in a time where not many people want you knocking on their door. Like if somebody came and knocked on my door, I probably wouldn't vote for them, even if they were from my party.
Yeah.
Because I would be like, there's a global pandemic, right? So, and some people are and some people are fine with it, but just it's kind of a weird time to do that. So texting has been a huge, huge help. We've reached a lot of people that way. Sign up to do that. Take an hour of your day. Take an hour of your day. We've got 14 days to the election. 13 counting tomorrow, or starting tomorrow, 13. Take an hour a day. You can reach in taking an hour a day doing that. You can reach 5,000 voters, one person.
Yeah.
So there's a lot you can do. You're not powerless.
Right.
You have the ability. And whether it's this race or if you're watching and you're not from this district, but you're really excited about a candidate in your area, get involved.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to find a campaign, especially at this stage of the game, that says, no, we're good.
Right. Right.
You're not going to find it.
Right.
So get involved, get excited, donate when you can.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? If you're young, and I say this as I was one of the youngest when I ran in the state, Matt, you're a young guy. I think you got like a month or two on me, but we're about the same age.
Yes, let's say.
But you never don't be afraid to get involved, even if you sit here and go, I don't know if I want to run for state house. Talk to somebody about it.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to somebody like Matt about it. Talk to somebody who's run. They'll tell you all about what it entails.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you think you can do it, do it. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Get fired up, because the battle doesn't stop November 3rd.
Yeah.
Take November 4th, sleep, and then get back to work.
Right.
And we have seen this seat move from when Bill Campbell ran, who God bless Bill Campbell for stepping up and running, and God bless Bill Campbell for conning me into running so he didn't have to. I love Bill Campbell. Bill Campbell was hugely helpful to me. But I think he lied to me a little bit. I'm kidding, Bill, if you're watching, I'm kidding. But it was at 33%. I got it to 35. In 18, Matt got it to 39. Another 4-point jump, and that's in just 4-point jump organically, puts us at 43. Democratic turnout is going to be higher than ever this year.
Yes.
This is a flippable seat. And if we don't win, we could be 48-49. Which would be huge to be at 6 years ago, 33%. So the battle doesn't stop when the election ends. So if I could say anything because I'm blathering on, I'm getting excited as I do when I talk politics. Get involved, stay involved. There's no election too boring. There's no election too small.
Right.
I don't care if it's dog catcher, which we don't vote for here, but dog catcher to president. Get involved, learn about the candidates, help the candidates. If you don't like the candidate, run against them.
Right.
Or find somebody to run against them and help them. But stay involved, stay away.
Yeah.
Where we have lost power in this state is off-year elections. Don't let and I know we're in the throes of 2020, but think about 2022. All this excitement you're feeling right now, just bottle some of it up. Put it in your drawer and save it.
Yeah.
Because we're going to need you in 2022 too.
Right.
So
right. Absolutely.
That's sorry. I get wound up.
No, it's a good point. And, just to add to that, you actually inspired me to run. I remember seeing you at Cultivate Co-working. You had well, I don't know what you would have called it. I want to say rally, but you had an event
Yeah,
at Cultivate Co-working.
at a town hall.
I think it was a town hall. That's right, because you took a bunch of questions. I forgot how long it was. You talked for a long time, but that was
That
good. It
I
was a good
always have. My teachers always commented on that growing up. So
I was so impressed with you, Justin. I really was. I was so impressed with what you had to say, with how prepared you were. And you took those questions and you handled it so well. I was very, very, very impressed. And when 2018 approached and I decided to make that decision, you had my back and you helped me through so much. And I can't thank you enough. And this year, you've been a huge help. So thank you so much for everything that you've done. And
no
like you said, we've got so much potential in this district. We've got so much potential in Rutherford County, and and we could see a big change this year. But I think we're going to continue to see, the climb. I think 22 and 24 are going to be good years for us as well. But if you want to get more involved, my website is mattferrytn48.com. I'm also have a virtual fundraiser this Saturday at 7 o'clock. We have Roy Lee, who's going to be the host of it. He's a very funny guy. We're going to try to make this a fun thing. We got some special guests that are going to be there. We're also got some music. It's $5 for the link. And if you donate $20 or more, you're entered to win some original artwork by some local artists. That's pretty fun. Some of them are Democratic. Most of them are Democratic leaning pieces of art. They are gorgeous pieces. My friend Casey Sheffield has done that. I forgot the other artist's name. His name is Oliver something. I forgot what it is on top of my head. But he has done some gorgeous artwork as well that we're going to be giving away for that event. And then Sunday, there's an event that we have not promoted yet. And this is not technically a fundraiser. This is more of kind of a political rally thing. But Bill Stieber and some of the Jake Leg Stompers are going to be playing. And that's going to be out on Pete Rude's land, which is by MTSU, kind of across the street from Sir Pizza and Slick Pig on Main Street. And so that'll be a fun event. That's just a good old fashioned political rally as far as we can do it in a pandemic. But Pete Rude's a pretty fun guy, and he likes to play ultimate frisbee, and so there'll be some ultimate frisbee playing there, and there'll be some music. So it's just a good event to have, just a fun event to have here at the very end. But like you said, we've got 14 days left, and there is so much to do. We plan on talking to a lot of people between now and then, including right after early voting and before Election Day. Some of the people who vote on Election Day are like, I'm Election Day voters. I love voting on Election Day, and that's fine. Other people sometimes wait until Election Day because they might be undecided or they might be unsure. And one of the things that we're trying to fight is down ballot drop off. Some people go to the ballot box and they just vote for president, and so we really like to see people vote straight ticket right down the ballot. There's only a few races, besides president, and we've got some great candidates with Marquita Bradshaw running for Senate and Chris Hale running for Congress. So I'm encouraged. These are exciting candidates, and I think they're going to bring some people out. So we've got a huge chance to win here in Rutherford County, and I appreciate all the support that everyone's given me. If you're hearing this, I cannot thank you enough for all the love and support you've given my campaign in 2020 and in 2018. So I'm super pumped this year. I'm super excited. Justin, thank you again for coming on here today and talking with me. I appreciate your insight, and I appreciate your work. You've been working really hard for me, and I appreciate all that you've done. And we've got a great shot to win this year. And I really think that the strategy that we have towards the end is going to peel off some more voters. And we can win this. It might just be a couple percentage points. It's probably not going to be
a couple of votes,
but we can win this. This is real. This is real. So it's very exciting. And I mean, like I said, like I am dedicated to go to Nashville and fight for the people of Tennessee, no matter who they are, if they're Republican or Democrat or whoever. Tennesseans are struggling right now. There's life and death decisions being made at the state capitol, and our legislators have been absent at best and negligent at worst. So anyway, there's my last pitch. Justin, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We will talk very, very soon. Never know how to end these, by the way. So I always sound like I'm like wrapping up a conversation on the phone. But if you're out there and you're watching this, thank you so much for watching.
If you want to do it the true Southern way, say, "Hey, let me call you back in just a minute."
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's the way to do it. Hey, let me call you back. And
hey,
then,
just 1 minute, Justin. I'll call you back. All right.
See you, Matt.
Thank you so much. I'll see you soon. Y'all have a good one.